When my younger brother Ethan was 10 years old, he stood beside our mother's hospital bed and promised her he would change the world with technology. She smiled through the pain. "Take care of each other," she whispered before closing her eyes forever. I was 23. He was only 10. From that day, I stopped living for myself. I gave up college. I worked construction during the day and drove taxis at night. Every paycheck paid for Ethan's school fees. When he wanted a better laptop, I sold my motorcycle. When he received admission to MIT, I mortgaged the little house our parents had left us. Friends got married. They traveled. They bought homes. I skipped birthdays, vacations, and relationships because every dollar went toward Ethan's dream. Whenever people praised him, he always hugged me. "I'll never forget what you've done." I believed him. Years later, Ethan created a cybersecurity startup. He had brilliant ideas, but ideas don't become companies without money. Banks rejected him. Investors laughed. So I emptied everything, my retirement savings, the emergency fund, the last insurance payout from our parents. Nearly $650,000 disappeared into his company. For months, I survived on instant noodles while he built his dream. Finally, the company exploded. Media called him the youngest genius entrepreneur in America. Television interviews, magazine covers, awards. Everyone celebrated him. He insisted, "When the company succeeds, we'll celebrate together." Then, the invitations stopped coming. One morning, I saw his face on television. Breaking news: Ethan Carter engaged to billionaire investor Richard Hamilton's daughter. I smiled. My little brother had made it. Surely he'd call. Days passed. Nothing. Finally, a wedding invitation arrived. No handwritten note, no phone call, just a printed card. Still, I bought the nicest suit I could afford. I couldn't wait to see him. The ballroom looked like a palace. Crystal chandeliers, gold decorations, celebrities, politicians, billionaires. I felt completely out of place when Ethan finally saw me. His smile disappeared. He walked over quickly. "What are you doing here?" I laughed. "I'm your brother." His eyes shifted toward his future father-in-law. "Please, don't tell anyone that." My heart froze. "What?" "You look ordinary. I've worked my entire life for you. I know, but these people won't understand." I stood speechless. Then he walked away. Later that evening, Richard Hamilton raised his glass. "I'd like Ethan to tell us how he built this extraordinary company." Everyone applauded. Ethan stepped onto the stage. He smiled proudly. "I built everything from nothing." The crowd cheered. I never needed help. More applause. I created this empire with my own hands. I waited. Surely, he would mention me. He didn't. Instead, he added, "Success belongs only to those willing to sacrifice." I nearly laughed. Sacrifice? Mine. Not his. Unable to breathe, I walked outside. Near the parking area sat Ethan's assistant. "Could you hold his briefcase for a minute?" she asked. Without thinking, I agreed. The briefcase accidentally opened. Papers scattered. I bent down to collect them. One document caught my attention, a signature. Mine, except I had never signed it. Another document, another forged signature, then another. Loan approvals, investment transfers, government filings. Someone had copied my signature dozens of times. At the bottom sat one terrifying sentence. Federal financial certification. Everything went cold. This wasn't just fraud. This was federal forgery. I searched through the remaining documents. Hidden behind legal contracts was something even worse. Ethan had secretly transferred my ownership shares into offshore companies. According to official records, I had voluntarily surrendered every right, except I never had. Those forged documents had erased me from the company. My entire life's sacrifice, stolen with a pen. The wedding reception continued. Champagne flowed. Music played. Lawyers discussed a $50 million merger scheduled for midnight. Nobody noticed me walking toward the stage. I picked up the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry to interrupt." Everyone turned. Ethan looked confused. I held up one contract. "This merger is legally dead." Silence. Then whispers. I continued. "These documents contain forged federal signatures." Every lawyer in the room stood up. One rushed toward Ethan. Another grabbed the paperwork. Richard Hamilton's face turned pale. Within seconds, the celebration transformed into chaos. The legal team examined every page. One attorney whispered, "If this is authentic, the merger cannot proceed." Another added, "The SEC must be notified." Phones rang everywhere. Investors walked out. Board members disappeared. Richard stared directly at Ethan. "You told me your company was clean." Ethan couldn't answer. The billion-dollar family alliance collapsed before dessert. Police investigators arrived before midnight. Wedding guests recorded everything. The story spread across social media within hours. The genius entrepreneur had become the country's biggest corporate scandal. Months later, federal investigators confirmed extensive document forgery. Multiple executives were charged. The merger permanently collapsed. Investors sued. The company filed for bankruptcy. Richard Hamilton publicly canceled every business relationship with Ethan. His marriage lasted less than 3 weeks. The empire built on lies disappeared faster than it had risen. During the investigation, authorities proved I had been the original financial backbone of the company. My investments were restored. The stolen ownership shares were returned. Civil courts awarded me millions in damages. I used the money differently than Ethan had. I created scholarships for students who couldn't afford college. I funded small businesses started by honest people, because dreams should be built with integrity, not stolen from those who love you. One rainy afternoon, years later, Ethan came to my office. He looked older. Broken. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I know. I'd do anything to change it." I looked out the window before answering. "You didn't lose everything because I exposed you. You lost everything the day you forgot who stood beside you when nobody else believed in you." He lowered his head, then quietly walked away. I never saw him again. Some betrayals deserve forgiveness, others simply demand the truth. And sometimes, the greatest revenge isn't destroying someone's life. It's allowing their own lies to do it for you.